All right, y'all. Welcome to episode number 34 of the Jackass Podcast. I am the Jackass. I'm Coach Lindsay. Please like, follow, share. Um, I'm on Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon. So if you're catching me, follow, leave some comments. Um, this week we're gonna go over uh let's see, what we gonna go over? Go over basketball, the fact that playoffs in basketball is starting, um, tournament stuff, how that can be really fun. We're gonna go over a couple catchwords in education that sound great, but I don't think we've ever been told how to actually put it in place properly by our leadership. s- did my first live this last week. Gonna talk about that. Gonna talk about WWE. Um, interesting things in football. Getting ready for the draft and stuff like that. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm actually looking forward to basketball playoffs more. Not so much the 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 bracket, but I do like seeing some of the upsets already. And gonna talk about the passing of Chuck Norris, uh, and why that has been so kind of interesting. And for me, there's a weird connection. But just love hearing that love kind of reminiscent in my mind of why Chuck Norris is one of those people who kind of does affect me a little bit. It's just not in an aw shucks way, but it's kind of interesting the things I've seen him on and how he grew from what he started off as and becoming the icon and hearing nothing but good stories, especially on TikTok and stuff. Um, but yeah. So again, Coach Lindsay, this is the Jackass Podcast, episode number 34. Remember, like, share, comment, and let's have fun with it today. So I am not really going to speak on federal government today, because a lot of what I've heard is more of just the same over and over and over again. So we're not going to beat that dead horse right now. Because what I don't get in some cases with people's view on the federal government is why you know what I don't get is why people are so upset about everything. And a lot of times I just don't it it just doesn't make sense to me. Um, and I know it has a ripple effect down. I know shit travels downhill, and that's why everybody cares about the federal government. But y'all kind of gotta look to your local stuff too, more so than the federal level, and pay attention to that stuff because that's what directly affects you more. Um, I'm gonna say one thing interesting before I get on the catchphrases of education and kind of watching, and I don't know, it came across my feed on TikTok, but if I don't remember who this was because I follow a lot of people. Uh, I think I ended up following, so I think it was on my 40U page. It's talking about how people are making on the teaks in Texas for social study that we're supposed to start following in like 3, 4 years. Um, and I think just being in education and once you get into a field and you start seeing how people want to regulate that field, um, man, it's just interesting. So here's what my biggest crux of this is that they have, I guess, the people or a consulting company that I don't know what the repertoire is actually being in education and how to do this. And this is where when we talk about education, and we're gonna get into talking about the catchphrases of education, the catchphrases against education. This is where it frustrates the shit out of me. I have I have been around education for the past 13 years, and there's two very contradictory things going on in education. One, we're holding the people at the bottom of the totem pole or the bottom of the pyramid responsible for what people way at the top are deciding to do because everybody thinks that they know what's best for education, but they haven't done the, how do I say this? They haven't been at the ground level in the past decade, or they haven't touched in a classroom in such a long time, but they think they understand what the classroom is from what it was when they were a kid. And I'm gonna start this off by saying, and I've said this before, No Child Left Behind was one of the worst things that happened to education. Um, and here's the thing, I think both parties are out to dismantle education, the public education, because they want people to be stupid. And last week we talked about Gen Z and the work ethic. But I hate to tell y'all, actually, no, fuck that. I don't hate to tell y'all this. I'm going to beat this dead horse till people realize me as a teacher, it is not just my responsibility to raise these people to be productive members of society. That should fall on the parents, and it does. It just it's easier to blame someone else that's not truly responsible for what your kids' actions are. They just have to deal with it. And it's a lazy thing for people to just like, oh well, no, it's the teacher's fault or it's the education's fault. No, it's not. My job in the most theoretical sense of the phrasing is to get your people, is to get your children and these students to learn in a way where they can be effective in the workplace s- and in society with parents and the community's help. And over the past, I don't know, 15, 20 years, community is not the same thing as it was when I was a kid 30, 35 years ago. At 44, and it's interesting, I come from a generation that got to live through the shift of this, in that we went from straight analog and not having digital stuff to having being really reliant on digital media and stuff like that and electronics and stuff. Cause I can remember being like a Gen Xer where you had to go up, talk to parents, talk to people, and you couldn't just have all these little scapegoats with your phone. And seeing it develop as an adult and it becoming a great convenience for me, but it's now something that the kids that I'm teaching rely so much on. The biggest problem education has right now is, and the greatest divide is in the kids who are willing to do the work and smart enough and have the support at home to do the work, the proper support at home, the ones that let them fail in life, and the ones that can hopefully give them a grace when they do learn to fail, if they haven't learned what failure is, because we've lowered the bar, and nobody can tell me that because we lowered the bar, the kids are supposed to be smarter. We've lowered the bar in expectation of what a kid can actually do. Because parents and people raising their kids defend their kids to the hilt without letting them fall flat on their face. Because we got trauma from falling flat on our face as a kid, not realizing that's where the lesson was learned. I'm a special education teacher. I have been the whole time. I have been a certified teacher. This is year number 8. It's year number 7 district I'm working at, 1 year at a charter school. And then I had 4 previous years of just being an IA at ISS where I wasn't responsible for kids. I've never had the most traditional, like, teaching thing since I've been in education. My current job, it's not a traditional classroom in what people think. 3 of my 8 years, I've run units. And those parents to me understand where their kids at a lot of times and just want the best for them. But you get these parents who have never let their kid fail and want to protect them from failure, and they don't understand, well, if your kid makes this choice, because not everybody's going to be nice and hold your kid's hand. There's a different expectation as we get older, and there should be. So now we have a generation of kids who don't know how to handle stuff on their own. And I'm not even gonna say with full confidence that I think my daughters can handle everything on their own right now. And they're 17 and 18. Because there's time where their mama has been a little bit more protective than I have. And we went through all the stuff with COVID and all this. But we have to stop. We've made this generation of kids way too comfortable in thinking that they have to be successful at everything and not really realizing that the lessons learned are through the failures that happen. You can learn lessons through success, but you learn a lot more by falling on your face. And you learn how to handle yourself and get up and pick yourself up and go, okay, how do I do this again? Like, in all seriousness, I don't get people. I don't get people who are so afraid to let their kids fail until their kids become adults, and then they wonder, why doesn't my kid know how to fail? So we're gonna go blame someone else because we didn't take accountability for what we did as a parent. And I'm gonna say this to the parents out there. Your job, and I've said it before on my podcast, and you're gonna hear it a bunch as long as I have this podcast. Your job is to protect your child in ways to where they can take the failure and learn within your house. Because if they never fail and you protect them from that feeling, you're hurting them in the long run. Accountability is not an evil word. It's a word that we want to throw around to politicians and to businessmen and to teachers and everybody. But when I got 30 students in the class and I'm being held accountable for what they learn, but they're not doing their part in the learning, because I hate to tell everybody, here's the reality check. I can't teach a person that doesn't want to learn. This isn't a cop out. This is just the God's honest fucking truth. If you're not willing to learn, you ain't gonna learn shit. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's math, science, social studies, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, whatever the fuck it is you want to learn. You want to learn to play guitar? If you actually want to learn, you'll go learn to play guitar. You may not be the greatest at it, but you'll go learn to do it. If you want to learn to change an engine out, you want to learn to do stuff. If you want to learn it, you will do it. But if you choose not to and you downgrade education to your kids because their attitude on their education is coming from the parent, it's not coming from the teacher who walks into an education center knowing they're not going to get paid as well as if I stayed at Walmart and became a store manager. I know this. I could work at Walmart without a college degree and make more money than I can teaching. The sacrifice would be different. I didn't want to do that. And don't get it twisted. If I had wanted to be a manager at Walmart, I had opportunities through several managers to get me in manager training programs, to have me be a mentee for their mentorship programs. I had more than one ask me. One legitimately asked me, and one put me in it because she didn't realize what my goal was and we didn't have a conversation beforehand. I am well aware who I am and what I can do and what I choose not to do because I will not be successful at it. Because not in my personality, nor do I want to learn how to be that. Like, I'm not looking for an admin job a lot of times. I don't want to go back to school to get the master's to be an admin. I don't want to deal with parents like an admin has to. I'm too blunt, too honest, and too much like my grandfather and my mama, where I am just not going to be that guy. Because I genuinely, and take this respectfully, if you're listening to this podcast, thank you. But take this respectfully. I genuinely don't care if you like me or not. And I don't say that as a front. I've had way too much time in my life where worrying, where it does not benefit me, and it doesn't benefit anybody to worry about you not liking me when I can't control it. That's a waste of my time. Time on earth is too precious to waste my time worrying about what other people think of me. And that includes on this, on TikTok. The fact that I end up having students follow me and make comment on my videos on TikTok is one of the funniest things about this gig. The fact that some of my students who did follow me, got on my live this week, followed me and interacted with me in a cool way. That's a cool thing to me. I enjoyed that greatly. And I enjoy doing this just to get stuff off my chest about certain things. But we need to have a reality check on what, and it doesn't need to come from me. It needs to come from people who are lining people's pockets, who are more interested in lining their pockets off public education and these testing things and this. We don't learn through tests. Okay. I don't have to go retake a test for my certification to go get my teacher cert. I got to take a test if I want a different certification to start that, but I only got to take hours to do the rest of it. Like, God's honest truth. I don't have to deal with it. And I'm not even saying that this isn't me being mean about it. This isn't me being petty about it. I just don't need it from people. Like, if you want to support this podcast, please do so. If you want to support my TikTok, my YouTube channel, all of that, that's cool. I get it. And I love it. And it's fun. It's a little bit of an ego boost, but it's not what I'm going for. I just want to get this shit off my chest. And instead of going paying a therapist to do it, I do it on a live mic, edit it, and put it out for y'all. So the two words that sound great, but nobody actually teaches you how to use it in education. They were great catchphrases like for 3 or 4 years when we got back from COVID, and we need to get the students back to the rigor and to have grit. That means we have to push students for rigor to the point of failing. For students to understand what rigor is, they have to not be afraid of harder stuff to do. And we don't have a generation because we haven't taught that generation. We have, over the past 10 years, kind of lessened rigor because we wanted to worry about the kids' social emotional needs. Not saying that's saying that not worrying about it. Yeah, I get it. But to be honest, um, yeah, like y'all need to understand that if we're going to give rigor and we're going to teach grit, which are great catchphrase words, they look great, true grit and rigor, and that's what we look for in people. Then guess what? We got to push people harder and push them beyond their comfort. And it's going to cause some uncomfortable conversations to get the rigor so we can actually have grit. And that's what a lot of this generation that's starting to come out and go into the real world. They don't have any grit, or there is a fine chasm the size of the Grand Canyon of the people who do have grit and who don't. And that's going to be the thing that separates people. Not only has it always separated people, that's where the middle class is going to lead. Because usually the middle class would be, okay, I can work to this, I can grind it out, and we don't teach to grind anymore. When I was a student, I was taught to grind. I was taught to grind because I had some sort of learning disability that I got out of by the time I was in middle school. Like, I didn't have special ed in middle school. I had it in elementary school, just not middle school. But I learned to grind. I learned, okay, times it's gonna take me a minute longer, but I gotta be willing to grind it out. And I can tell you, my wife met me at like 24, 25. She doesn't believe it because I've grinded out and I've always wanted to learn something. That's the other thing with grit and rigor. It only really shows up when you actually want to do the thing. So if you want your kid to be smart, it's not about getting on, it's about encouraging them to learn new stuff. It's about encouraging them to try new stuff. It's encouraging them to take a risk that they might fucking fail at. And then tell them, okay, you failed. Where did you fail? How are we gonna get better at it? And are you gonna be willing to try it again just because you failed? That's where grit comes from. That's where learning how to handle rigor comes from. That's where learning to grind, like we tell kids, like kids hear on songs and see they don't understand that the grind is up here. It's mental. Parents forgot that how they became successful was not through the physical grind, it was through the mental grind. So like those kids who are in athletics and or just have to grind stuff out and understand that they're going to be a whole lot more successful in life than those kids that have had everything kind of handed to them. And there are too many stories throughout history like this. There's too many Reddit stories that tell you this. There's too many Reddit stories on TikTok that say the same goddamn thing. And how do I know? Because I listen to a lot of them. One of my favorite quotes is the magic that you want is hidden in the work you're not willing to do. So if I want something magical to happen, that means I gotta go work my ass off to get it. If I want to be lucky in life, I need to be prepared for the opportunity. Because John Wooden, one of my favorite quotes of all time, said, "Luck is where preparation meets opportunity." So you want to have a discussion on what's wrong with education? Nothing's wrong with the system of education within the school because they're doing their job. We're doing the job we're told by people who don't actually know what the fuck our job is to do, and we're doing it. Because everybody thinks they know what education is. Everybody thinks they have a clue, but as a student, you don't see everything that goes into it. You don't see the grind to get you to do stuff. And as a parent, you're not telling your kids like what we heard, because oh, it hurt my feelings when I was a kid. No, that adult knows what they're doing. And since we don't teach kids respect unless well, they gotta earn it. Oh motherfucker, I've already done my shit. I have a degree. I've done the stuff to earn the respect of being able to teach your child. I got the certification. I'm doing the job just because you look down on, because whatever fucking job you got, Here's the thing. Unlike most of my colleagues that I know about that went and maybe started in the district when they were kids, guess what? I'll be allowed to have my Social Security benefit full now because I worked all my quarters. I did menial jobs. I've done construction. I've done abatement. I've done door-to-door sales. I've done retail work in a whole bunch of places. I've worked in restaurants in the back, in the game room, in the kids' restaurant. I did telemarketing jobs. Some, I've done temp jobs. I've done a lot of different things in my life. And so I have all this life experience that I can bring. But you're telling your kid that doesn't have a damn bit of life experience yet, and you may not have the same life experience, so you don't respect what other people do. I grew up in a military family. My brother benefited from my ex-stepfather serving till he got to his 20th year in the military. I didn't get that same benefit. And mind you, I'm gonna say this, and my biological father, if this comes across you, I mean you no ill will, but I didn't get the benefit of him being a West Point graduate and being um retired from the military and working in government service after that fact. I didn't get the benefit of my mom because she didn't get to retire from the military. She's kind of forced out by my brother's situation. I didn't get all that. And I ain't even sitting here bitching about it. I'm just stating facts. But you gonna sit there and tell your kid because, well, they're just a teacher. And it ain't just a teacher. Because anybody you admire that's a leader is a fucking teacher. Don't get it twisted. Every leader you admire is a teacher in some way. Whether you be religious and you admire Muhammad, or you admire Jesus Christ, or you admire God, they were all teachers of what they wanted you to do. Forget the religious one. Every leader that you want that has actually met some and led taught their people under them to what they were leading them to. Even the most evil ones were teachers. All the great coaches that you talk about, go down the line. Go down the line. I do not care which name a coach. Name me a coach that won a great teacher. Red Auerbach was a great teacher. Bill Russell was a great teacher. Greg Popovich was a great teacher. John Wooden was a great teacher. Gino Auriemma is a great teacher. Pat Summitt was a great teacher. Bill Belichick was a great teacher. Bill Parcells was a great teacher. Vince Lombardi was a great teacher. Tom Landry. I don't care what sports you put in it. Those people who are lead people are great teachers for what they're leading. Whether it be sports, General MacArthur, all of them taught their commanding officers at some point in time what they wanted, how they wanted it to be, and what they needed them to do. Because guess what? If you can't teach the people under you, then you can't lead them. Sam Walton was a great teacher. Bill Gates, probably not, and maybe not Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs wasn't a great teacher, but he was great at what he did. And probably Steve Wozniak was a great teacher in that essence. But stop negating what teachers do and how many people are teachers. Because again, your child's first teacher is not the teacher they come across in pre-K or kindergarten or Sunday school first. It's the person that raises them. Being a parent is also being a teacher, and you're teaching your kids what the fuck they need to do to actually be alive. And stop skating that responsibility and putting it on other people. Because you are too much of a coward to actually teach your kids and hold yourself accountable for what you do. And if this pisses some people off, great. Again, I will reiterate this like I have told kids. I named this podcast this for a reason, because I am that jackass. This is the Jackass podcast, and if you don't like it, you don't have to listen. I'm fine with that. Again, this is for me to vent my frustrations on. So let's get out of that. The whole grit thing and all that. It's been annoying for a few years, but it's something that we had to talk about. Speaking of someone who had a whole lot of grit and came off as a gritty person, it is sad, and it was kind of it's one of those pop culture things that's really a shock. Uh, was seeing the fact that Chuck Norris passed away. Um, one of my saddest memories in my life. So when I was in 5th grade and my mom's passed away, and we got through all this. So if any of my family hears this, y'all can back off my door. I ain't worried about it. Um, when I was in 5th grade, my mom, cousin my brother who had a rare birth defect, and the situation she was in being a single mother, trying to take care of a kid with a rare birth defect, where we were figuring out treatments that I think people still use. We were kind of guinea pigged in a lot of this, and since mom was an RN, she took a lot of this on herself, became severely depressed, and she walked out of the house one day. Walked out and took herself to a mental hospital, and I had to call my grandmother because we lived in San Antonio. My grandmother lived here. I had to call my grandmother and say, "Hey, come get us. Mom just walked out." But how it relates to Chuck Norris is one of my favorite movies as a kid. For whatever reason, mind you, I'm in 5th grade. This is probably a rated R movie. I don't remember. But it's a cult one that he had called Lone Wolf McQuay. I just love that movie. I did. Uh, I haven't seen. I watched it not too long ago, like a few years back. It's a campy movie. It probably fits my childhood likes of movies, but I just love that movie. I love Chuck Norris. I remember always watching Walker Texas Ranger. I remember movie Sidekicks with him, and I don't remember what the blonde kid's name is. Um, there were a lot of movies of his that I watched, a lot of stuff of his that I watched. The jokes on Chuck Norris and the memes are classic. Uh, the Chuck Norris stuff that's so great. And when I saw him in The Expendables 2, because that was the last thing I actually watched him in, it was so cool that they kind of referenced one of those jokes. But it's just he was one of those action heroes. And I come from that generation where I love Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Wesley Snipes, Dolph Lundgren, all of them. Like that was my genre of movie. So I love it so much. So this one doesn't hit as high on my list of celebrity deaths, but it does hit because pop culturally, and he had a little stint where he kicked someone's jaw. He kicked at somebody, uh, jaw in WWE, like back when I was watching early. But no one ever like there were no stories going on around him bad. At least not yet. And and I hope not because I never really heard anything bad. Watching him on the Total Gym commercials was or infomercials was always kind of funny. But just having that kind of impact on people, and I didn't actually know until some where his actual first name was Carlos, not Chuck. So that was interesting. Um, but I saw like a retrospective, one of those AI ones that some people do on TikTok. He had a military career. He was a legit fighter, like karate champion and stuff. First got a big push with Bruce Lee, and then just had those kind of that movie run of being one of the martial arts stars, and maybe not the world's greatest actor, but a great corny type of actors that I just love watching as a kid. Still love watching some of the stuff. I love Firewalker with him and Louis Gossett Jr. Don't ask me why. That was a movie that came around my house. It wasn't even one of his big ones, but there was something funny about him almost playing, I want to say the incompetent con, um, to Louis Gossett Jr. And that was just a fun movie to watch. So the two movies I remember from my childhood with Chuck Norris in it are Lone Wolf McQuade, which was probably before my time, around the time I was born, and Firewalker. Uh, I don't know if those are the greatest because I never saw Delta Force. I never like a lot of his ones that he's known for, I never watched. But those are the ones I remember. So, da 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 da. NBA, it's cool to see. You know what? As a Spurs fan, it's great to see Spurs have a 51 season. It's great to see their enthusiasm and the stuff that they're doing in town. Um, it's great to see Victor Wembanyama want to be the dude and wants the smoke. He wants to be the dude. Like not like he wasn't kind of anointed, but he wants all that. He's like, "Nah, come on." And he's confident in the people around him and he builds up the people around him. So that's fun as a Spurs fan. I love seeing it. Fits the Spurs organization great. Great for Oklahoma City and Detroit to also clinch playoff brackets. Um, that's going to be fun. Let's see if Spurs get 60. I hope they do. I don't know if they overtake the Thunder, but it's going to be close. I think that I think that will be a great series. Probably Western Conference Final either way. It's going to be a great series. It's going to be fun to watch, and basketball is just fun right now. As far as football goes, it's kind of been quiet this week. I know you had the Waddle trade. Interesting. Good thing for because I think it got traded to Denver. Good thing for Denver. Like now you put speed on the other side of Cortland Sutton. It's going to be an interesting combination. I have a feeling both their stats go up, and I have a feeling Bo Nixon now has another deep target, so that'll be fun. Um, let's see. What do we want to talk about on? You know what? WWE's been cool. Um, and that's another thing I can go off on for a little bit, and I might think we'll end on WWE, and I'm gonna end on a high note. I have loved all the stories that are being told that are the frontline stories for WrestleMania right now. The Obafemi thing, oh hell yes. That was so great. I think Brock chooses when to use his character to build somebody up. And I heard Bubba Ray say this on Busted Open. It was perfect. I saw someone catch it on little things that he would tell them to do to him. Like Oba putting his foot on his chest just to make him look so much bigger and strong. And just how that whole thing was set up with Seth and then Brock and all that, that was great. Um, that was just beautiful to watch. I love it. I've liked Obafemi. But I think you can make him a big old monster. I think he'll be a baby face for a little while. That was a good one. Da, 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 da. I think the Judgment Day about to break up or at least break what it's been. With Finn Balor and with The way Liv Morgan's like, oh, I did like the Liv Morgan thing though. I did like that. Now I think about it, her saying, "This is my plan all along. It was a long term plan that we were gonna get you out. You just finally fell into it." Um, I think that's a good one. I think Raquel kind of wanting to be on her own a little bit is a good thing. I think she can get some fan love as a baby face. That's just fun. Um, I want to see where they take Finn. I want him to have a good WrestleMania match. I hope he does. And I hope it's with Dom. Put Dom and him in a WrestleMania match. I think that storyline deserves it. Who else? CM Punk and Roman Reigns. That has been a masterclass on how to build up tension without really having to get touched. And maybe one shot here or there, and it's fine. But it's so good. It is so fun to watch. I'm sorry. Um, it just has been so much fun. Um, you know what? The El Grande Americano stuff has been fun. That's a fun comic thing. That's been great. Bailey and AJ was a good match. The fact that Becky had to get involved, that's surprising, but good heat for her on this. Not gonna be surprising when she has the title match, probably at Mania. But I think you have to add in Bailey on this. And I think Bailey can get herself added. I think they're gonna swing back to last year's story where Becky kind of took away Bailey's thing. So Bailey's gonna take a little bit of her shine. That'll be fun to watch. Raw's always hard for me because always like it wasn't the last thing that I watched. I've had a week's worth of stuff. Um it has been interesting the Kofi Kingston and Javon Evans thing. I don't know where that's going, but it's gonna be interesting to watch. And I like seeing Kofi go, "Oh, I was like you, man," and he was. Just had the Jamaican accent, but he was like him. So I think that's cool. What else? It's cool, Dennis Rodman. I'm actually fine with Dennis Rodman being the celebrity for for the WWE Hall of Fame. That's a good one. I don't get it twisted. That's a really good one. Um, and it should. I'm surprised it took this long, and I'm surprised they're not that they didn't do it with someone in the NWO attached. But that was a good storyline. Maybe because Hogan passed away. I don't know, but that was such a good, and it was an impactful storyline at the time in WCW. So having Rodman, then you probably need Carl Malone too. But I think Rodman had more of an impact on that storyline. So I liked it. Um, what else we got? NXT. Man, that was fun to watch. You know what's been really fun has been the Ethan Page and Ricky Saint stuff. That has been fun to watch. Um, the birthright stuff has been fun to watch. Um, the fact that QCC or whatever her name is got a win in Houston, that was fun to watch. I did like the angle that started off of the Booker T celebration. You knew something had to happen, but having Jasper Troy run out and against Keon Tarver, yeah, Tarver, who's been just wrecking house, that's a good one. Because now Jasper Troy gets to show who he is, and I don't think he's gonna be a baby facing, but I think he'll be a momentary baby face and go back to heel crushing people. What else we got? Excuse me. Damn. Uh, the way the women's championship ended, I think I have a funny feeling that'll be like a Soul Ruka, JC Jane type deal at Stand and Deliver, and they should be on Stand and Deliver. Uh, I will say I did like the Blake Lively thing coming up out of the thing after Tatum won, and it was good that Tatum won. Uh, her getting her come up with on Izzy Dane, that was good to watch. And that being the main event that they kept your eye on it. Tony D coming in and destroying everybody during that segment. I have a funny feeling that's gonna be like a four-way, and it probably should be. Um, it probably should be Tony D winning, uh, and giving him like 4 or 5 months at top in NXT to prove he can do that. Cause he's someone who could do that. I don't think he needs to do it, but I think he could do it. So, but having that'll be fun to watch. SmackDown, Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu fighting all over the place all night was fucking great. That was so fun to watch. Like, all of a sudden, you see him in the back, you're running, they're doing this. Um, Randy Orton being old school Randy Orton. That has been fun to watch. And what's so intriguing, I think everybody has wanted to see this for about since he came back off that last major injury. We've gotten a friendly Randy Orton, but that's not the Randy Orton that we all ended up actually loving and being. The unhinged Randy Orton is who we wanted to see for a long time. And that unhinged Randy Orton is you don't know where that's going. And that's actually fine. But it's like you gotta like the unhinged Randy Orton is just so fun to watch. Um, and I don't know if we get a fully unhinged Cody because I think Cody has to play the morale of it in his head. I don't think Randy does. I don't think Randy's character has ever had to play that morale, and they're kind of trying to do it right now, which has been interesting. Um, not really what you would think of, but it has been. Excuse me. That's been very interesting to see. Um, so, but I think it'll be good. And again, this is the Jackass podcast. Uh, what I really want to see, I do want to see Randy and Cody. I do like how they're trying to get some old school guys that have been around for a little while for it. Oh, this is the one thing I wanted to go off on. I have loved watching all the Carmelo and Ilya Dragunov matches. It takes me back to a whole bunch of set of matches. And for old school wrestling fans, I know the guy did terrible. Th- he ended his life and his family's life terribly. But in the ring, he was part of some of the greatest stuff, and they can't reference it now, and it sucks. Because if you could reference it, Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov are like the Edge and Chris Benoit best of seven that they had for the United States Championship, or the best of seven that he did in WCW with Booker T, that kind of made Booker T a single star. And I think the fact that they are both bringing this out and these matches are so good, they're so fun to watch. I think they're on that level of being able to build these two up. And it struck me when I was watching Friday night and just seeing it and they get the crowd and I think the times that that they probably had a plan and then that they kinda go, "No, we know each other, we've been in the ring enough." Because even their stuff in NXT was good, but they've actually made the United States Championship mean something right now. Um, like, honestly, if you put the men's titles on w what's the order of them? Um, probably it would be the WWE title, the world title, then the US title, then the NXT title, the NXT North American title, and then the Intercontinental title right now. And that's only saying because 'cause they're putting more in the storylines of everything above that IC title than they are the IC title. That's becoming the forgotten one. And when I was a kid, that title meant something. Now, here's what I do think. I think if you're gonna make that title mean something, put it on somebody who is what that title's always representing, which in all honesty is what the United States title is representing too. Those should be your workhorse titles. They shouldn't have like putting it on Penta is gonna make it a workhorse title and mean something, but he's gotta have some people to actually for it to mean something again. Cause it's not just who holds that title, it's who's fighting for that title that makes it mean something more. Um, so and that's not even me trying to be mean about it. Like the reason that and I don't say this, I think the way they've done the shows is that if you even included the girls side, I think all those titles, including the speed titles to a point, have more shine on them right now than the Intercontinental title. Maybe not the men's speed title, but the women's speed title definitely does. Cause there's something that it means about that versus what it means right now. And it doesn't mean much, unfortunately. And that's sad to say. Like that's not something I want to say because as the IC title meant you were stepping up to the next reign. And I don't think it has that same weight anymore. I don't think I think it's the titles that's been forgotten. And we're gonna do let's what NXT needs, kind of. Forget the speed titles. I like them. I like the gimmick of it. It's not gonna last as long. Um, and I know you need your faster guys and your faster gals to have some. But how about we have a TV title again? Or even if you get rid of the North American belts and make them the TV belts. And then that young talent has to be on all the TV products and saying, okay, we're gonna let you carry this for a while. Or maybe make the IC title feel like it means more. Put up an open challenge, do something with it. Make it feel like something every week for a while. Make it a workhorse title. Cause I still remember WCW's TV title meaning something. And that was a title I always wondered why WWE hadn't taken that concept. Cause here's what I love about the speed is that it's 3 minutes. There's a time limit to it. That was a cool thing about the cup. There was time limit to it. So um I think that's been a good thing. So in saying that, let's kind of close this up today. Cause I think that's something I've been forgetting to do. I'm usually just like, hey, bye. I love the stuff going on in WWE. Are there some improvements they can make? Yes. But you can go back listen to that. Love my Spurs winning. Like the kind of trade that they had in the NFL. Uh, had a rant on school stuff with rigor, letting your kids fail. Don't forget, people, failure is not an evil thing. It's how we learn the best. And then, what was my first part, man? Um, Oh, and rest in peace, Chuck Norris. Thank you for all the stuff that we loved about you. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Again, it's Coach Lindsay from the Jackass Podcast. Y'all have a good week. And I am going to do another live on Wednesday if you see this. Have a good one. Bye.